kind of
Yeah.
seeing where we're all at with
Sure.
transitioning. But
Yeah, and it's good to talk about that because you find that, you know, you're not the only one. We're all kind of in uncharted waters, literally. And uh, just being there to support each other is important, I think, from multiple standpoints.
absolutely.
Yeah. A lot of you have maybe kids at home, and so you're stay-at-home teachers having to help them with lesson plan or lessons and such. And yeah, you're juggling several things at once, which makes it even more challenging.
Yeah, tomorrow we're looking at overlapping because we have two kids, overlapping Zoom meetings for every one of us.
Oh, wow.
So it'll be interesting, that's for sure.
Zoom meeting with the teachers?
Well, the teachers are actually setting up so that the kids can like talk to their friends so that they're still getting socialization.
Uh-huh.
So I guess it's not like dire, but they're really looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's great. And of course, you know, the more you get comfortable with Zoom, the more you can, of course, send out invitations to friends and contact parents and, you know, connect people too, which is good.
Absolutely.
I just think, like, what would we have done if we didn't have this technology? You know, 20, 30 years ago, it just would have been impossible to do anything.
Yeah, everything would be at a standstill.
Yeah. Of course, if you go back to the Spanish flu back in 1918, you guys may be familiar with that. That was the big pandemic that ravaged the world at that time. You know, that was just really hard. They had a segment, a show on PBS last week where they replayed that Spanish flu pandemic show, which I had seen when they first broadcasted. This was back in, I think it was made in 1995. So, you know, it's a couple of years old. It's still excellent though, very good. And there's a lot of similarities. Really interesting, very interesting. Well, it's 2:08. I think we might as well get started. We've got 11 people, according to my managed participants box. So I'm gonna, and I am recording this so I can post it on Blackboard when we're done, should anybody who could not come today want to watch it. And I guess what I'd say from the get-go is that I have posted, I think, 5 voiceover PowerPoints in Blackboard, which you should certainly be starting to watch, that correspond to various sections of the textbook. I think we left off somewhere in the discussion of skeletal muscle structure, myofibrils, sarcomeres, Z-lines, I-bands, H-zones, that kind of stuff. So that's where that first video started. And then I think it goes up through cardiac muscle, sort of ends there at section 9.6, entitled Skeletal Muscle Actions. So that's how far we will go on page 310 in lecture. The rest of this chapter focuses on specific muscles of the body, sort of like the skeletal system, focused on specific bones. And like we did in lab, we focused on the bones and the structures of the bones. We're going to do the same thing in lab. We're going to focus on the muscles. And so when we get to that point in another couple of weeks, this last half of chapter 9 would be a very good reference to be looking at. And again, we'll talk more about those labs, muscle labs, as we get closer. So I guess open the floor for questions about A, have you looked at the voiceovers? And then B, are there specific questions? I guess that's kind of like how I'd like to do this. Since I've kind of already lectured on that stuff in the voiceovers, I'm not going to, lecture over it again, but I would like to just kind of see if you have specific questions. And I know this is the first time we've met since I put those up, so maybe there's not going to be a ton of questions. But did anybody look at those voiceovers yet?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I got through half of them before I got onto here.
Okay, great. All right, so a lot of you have started to look at those. I think, that's going to sort of help focus, the material that you're going to need to know for the exam. And we could use these Zoom meetings more like a review session to kind of go over specific questions you have as it relates to the PowerPoints. I guess that's what I'd like to try to use that model, see how that works. I would also say, don't forget that some of the videos, and I mentioned this in the PowerPoint voiceovers, some of the videos that are embedded in the PowerPoints, I can't play for you when I'm narrating them. You've got to go back into the original PowerPoints that we were using in class before we did all this, social distancing. And those videos should play in the regular PowerPoints. There's a couple that I also posted on Blackboard. I think I made mention of one specific folder that's devoted exclusively to a rather lengthy animation on skeletal muscle structure and function. So, you should be looking at those. They're very good.
That one video you had on Blackboard, I tried opening it, but for some reason my computer tries to download anything I press in Blackboard, and I couldn't play that video. The one with the skeletal muscle animation. I think my virus protection thing is really kicking in and told me not to play it.
Oh, can you
kind of weird.
Can you override that?
I'll play with it a little bit, but
Well, that's something you might want to try.
I know for other people, is it just playing when you click it? Like,
let's make sure we're all on the same page as to which video you're talking about.
It's in the outlines of chapter, and then it's the one right below chapter 9. PowerPoint one.
Let me see if I can get to how do I get to my Blackboard? How do I do this? I've not shared here. Let me think. How do I get online here?
I'm just wondering, does it download on everybody's computer, or does it just play for other people?
Right. I just want to make sure you're aware of what you're talking about. If you go to Blackboard, go to the course shell. Let me just do this for a second. Blackboard.
Well, we're
Okay.
fuel in the tank at Alter.
Let me try to share this.
Oh, she's trying to do their class on the phone. Alrighty. Bye.
Can you guys see where it says Blackboard now or no?
Yep.
Okay,
Oh,
so you're talking about it's going to be under
I think it was
PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's this one here.
Yep.
Yep. Anybody else try to watch this yet?
Not yet.
You know, I'm going to just try see if it plays for the heck of it. I don't know what's going to happen. Let's just see something.
You use muscles every day to do activities. This woman is using muscles.
Okay, so that played fine.
Okay. Mine does like a 2-minute download, and then I have to try to go to the installer and stuff.
usually the videos and stuff it actually comes across. Apparently not with this.
Say that again. Okay, well, maybe in the next day or two, see if other people are having similar issues. This is, it should play. And the other thing I would just say is you could probably YouTube that and find it as well, I'm guessing. In fact, that's maybe where I found it. I just don't recall exactly where I located that. See what you can come up with, Joseph, and then let me know if you're having issues.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. How about other problems, questions?
So for the quizzes, you're giving us a time limit, like a 15 minutes on the quizzes. What do you think our time limit on the practical is going to be?
Oh, I think probably, I haven't really thought much about that. I don't want to limit you too tightly, you know, probably if it's going to be a 60 point. I'm trying to remember what the points were here.
Yeah, it's 60.
First one was 50. I think the other two are 60s.
Yes.
Right. So I anticipate probably giving you, you know, at least hour and a half, 2 hours.
Okay.
I don't want you to feel like you're not getting enough time. Obviously, since we won't have the physical stations like we would if we were in class, there's going to be diagrams similar to what you've seen on the quizzes. Although now Wednesday people, you've never taken a quiz online yet, have you? It's been just the Monday group that's done 2 of them. So we're trying to catch the Monday group up to the Wednesday group, like I emailed, I think, you guys, so that we can both kind of be in synchrony from this point forward. I think it'll just make it easier for everybody if we do that. As a result, there's been a span of time that the Wednesday group has kind of been in this holding pattern, but hopefully you've used that constructively to focus on, say, lecture stuff, since there hasn't been much lab stuff. But as I think I indicated to you guys again in an email, we're going to do that lab practical next, I think it's Tuesday, 31st.
Yes, the last day before spring break.
Right. So in the interim, you should be going through those exercises and you know, focusing on the diagrams in terms of location of structures, given the fact we don't have the models or the skulls or bones to put out in front of you to physically see. And that's the downside of online. You know, you're relying more on diagrams and so forth.
Well, so far the quizzes don't seem too hard. Like, I guess they're self-explanatory.
In terms of the types of questions, Sarah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried to make them as comparable to a regular quiz, with the exception of course, the stations not being a model, but a diagram.
Yeah.
So I anticipate that the practical is going to be just a larger version of the quiz, kind of like the first practical was just a big version of the quizzes.
Okay.
Now there's 60 points versus 50, so we're upping the ante a little bit in terms of points. And there's going to be, more diagrams than the two that were on the last quiz. But the overall type of question, be it multiple choice or true false or what have you, I can't really do matching very well on the Blackboard test writing software. Not that we ever really use matching for the practicals, but for the exams, I have put those on in the past, the written hard copy.
Yeah.
So there's not going to be any matching on like exam 3 or exam 4.
Did you decide any more about how we'll turn in the extra credit paper?
I have not. I have to do that at some point. I've just been swamped with other Zoom meetings and other courses and stuff.
Totally get it.
It's on my to-do list. I was going to talk to our IT guy. I have a note to ask him about that here. But continue to pester me if I don't have an answer for you. But it may be that I don't have an answer until middle of April or.
Okay, because that's not due until the 6th, right, of May?
Exactly. It's not due for a good 5 weeks. Not that that's not going to go by quickly, of course, probably. I don't know. The last week seems like it's dragged on for me. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah.
The last week seems like it's been like a month. Oh,
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know why, but it's gone so slowly. Other questions about chapter 9 or the course?
I looked at the course schedule yesterday because I printed off like calendars
Yeah.
and filled in like all of my everything that's due and whatnot coming up until the end of the semester.
Yeah.
And like added when we would have Zoom meetings and whatnot.
Mhm.
So like the next lecture exam, you have like the 23rd or 24th. We're just gonna go, like we'll just know more which day once we get closer to that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to give you a bit of a range in terms of a couple of days.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't want to lock in a date or a time. But that was my thinking. We should probably get it done that week, preferably from the middle to the end of that week.
Sounds good.
Because I think the 23rd and 24th are Thursday and a Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that particular exam number 3, trying to think what the second, I got to go back and look and see what the second exam was over. I don't think we put joints on that. I don't think so. I think the third exam would be joints, muscular system, respiratory, and blood, which I know sounds like a lot. Joints, muscular system. So it's 4 chapters. Now blood is pretty short. Joints is pretty short. But if we don't do that, then the 4th exam, I really want us to focus on cardiovascular and lymphatic because those are the cardiovascular is long, lymphatic is kind of hard. So I'd rather err on the side of caution, put an extra chapter, if you will, on the 3rd exam as opposed to backloading the 4th exam.
Sounds good. So the 4th exam, you have like the 12th, 13th, and 14th of May.
Yeah.
We still have a final after that, right? Or no?
Well, that's actually finals week.
Okay. So that's just the last exam.
That's the last exam.
Okay.
Yeah. And I would say we'll decide kind of what day to do that because we might have to use, well, we're just going to have to see how it goes.
Yeah.
I've got to get grades turned in by a certain date, so I got to be mindful of that. The good thing, well, I don't know, a good thing, but one thing that Blackboard does is it corrects all of the answers except for the essay and short answer. I have to go in and,
Yeah.
and read those, but it does everything else automatically. So that does save a little bit of time. But I've got to go in still and read and grade, like I said, the essays and the short answer type of questions. So I try to kind of adhere to the schedule as much as we had. Overall, the skeleton of the remaining part of the semester has not changed a heck of a lot in terms of when the chapters are coming and how much time we're spending. The difference is going to be, of course, is that a little more onus is going to be on you guys to read the material, to check over those voiceovers, and to come and ask questions on stuff that's not clicking or you want clarification on. The other option we could try is doing like a Zoom meeting like this instead of a voiceover, and it would be more like a class. There's advantages and disadvantages to that. One disadvantage is it's sometimes hard to sit down for more than a half hour and do this for both you and me. So let's just see how the voiceovers go and see how that works.
Sounds good. Do you have intentions on doing like reviews like this on Mondays and Wednesdays still? Like,
Well, what we could do is regularly schedule until something maybe potentially pops up on my end, which I don't think it should, but we could kind of schedule Mondays and Wednesdays at 2 to just meet regularly. I mean, I'm fine with that.
okay.
I don't know if some people, are busy between say 2 and 3 or however long we go, and whether I should stagger, say, the Wednesday to a different time, but then I might lose some of you guys. It's an imperfect situation. Now I'm getting a little pop-up note here. It says running out of time. This meeting will end in 10 minutes. In the past, they've let me go beyond the 40-minute limit. So if we get disconnected, I will have to send you all another invitation. And if this continues, I'm just going to upgrade, because this is a pain in the rear to have to do this every time.
So that is how it has to work. You have to send out a new invitation for every meeting.
Well, I think so. I mean, if I schedule a regular Monday, Wednesday, 2 o'clock thing, then that'll appear, I think, on your schedules or whatever. I don't know if it comes to your email. Would you be emailed that every week? We'd have to just figure out how to do that. I don't know. But I'd have to send out an invitation, I think. Or find
My
out.
other professor.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, I think there's a way that I could provide a link in the course shell where you just click on like my personal Zoom meeting URL, but I haven't figured that out yet.
Yeah.
That would
Well,
be,
Amanda and Sarah, do you know, did you understand, like Dr. Phillips, that it's like a reoccurring meeting?
well,
Is that what you got from them too?
I think I can set it up so that it's a reoccurring Monday, Wednesday at 2 meeting. Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw that when I was in there playing around yesterday.
I don't know. This is kind of like my first Zoom meeting. I haven't even
Yeah.
tried Professor Phillips yet to know what's going on exactly.
Yeah.
Is he doing Zoom meetings?
Yes.
Yeah, but we're starting tomorrow. We haven't done one yet with him. But
Okay.
I think he said that it was supposed to be reoccurring in one of his emails, but I'm not 100% positive. on that.
Yeah. There's a way you can set up a recurring meeting thing. My question is that something you all just need to know, or do you get reminded of that every Monday and Wednesday? Maybe you don't need the reminder. But there is a way to set that up so that Zoom knows, okay, on Mondays and Wednesdays at 2, this meeting is going to be held. So we just got to remember to be there for it.
Or like write it down in your calendar or something.
You can link it to your Outlook account and your Yahoo Mail. I've not done that, but I see where you can do that on the system. I just haven't done it or investigated how to do it. But I think having, like Juliana said, a hard copy schedule calendar that you write all this stuff down. I mean, it's maybe an archaic way of doing it, but hey, let it be archaic. I don't care, as long as you know what's going on this week, because it gets complicated, especially if we start moving around times.
Yeah.
But Zoom is a really great platform. I think you'll all agree it was easy to get on. I mean, we can see each other. It's real-time audio. It's not as good as being in the same room, but we just have to make it do, I think.
Yeah.
Other comments, questions? So Kristen's asking, what chapters will the practical be on? Well, we always said that the practicals will cover material since the preceding practical. So we're talking about exercises 11 through 18. Again, I sent you an email, I think yesterday or day before, outlining that. Hopefully you're reading your email. You got to be doing that. We aren't putting the knee replacement video on because the Monday group did not watch that. The Wednesday group did before we had this all happen. So it starts with integumentary system, goes through bone structure, classification, the skeleton, the skull, and then specific axial and vertebral skeleton anatomy and joint structure and movements, 11 through 18. And I also emailed you guys and told you that I put the answer key to the lab report questions, right? That were in those binders in the back of the lab. Those are on Blackboard. You can check your answers if you're answering or questioning and doing those questions in the back of the lab reports.
We're actually gonna do the practical at home.
Say that again.
We're gonna do the practical at home and just kind of do it on Blackboard.
Exactly. Yep. So Joseph, are you in the Wednesday group?
Yep.
Yeah, so the Wednesday people have never taken a quiz on Blackboard. So Monday people, feel free to put in your 2 cents here in terms of how you found the whole experience to have been. But basically, I write the quiz, write the practical, write the exam, I post it, and there's a certain day and time that it becomes available for you to take. And it's like taking a quiz or an exam as if you were sitting in class. Only you're looking at it on the computer and you're clicking an answer as opposed to filling in an oval. And when you're done, just double check your answers and then you click save and submit, and it gets submitted.
Cool.
And usually I'll allow you to go in and start that practical or start that quiz or start that exam like at a certain time. Maybe I'll have it open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. That doesn't mean you have 8 hours to do it. It means you have between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. to start it. So you got to think about that. Don't start it at 4:30. You know what I mean? Give yourself enough time. And I can regulate how much time you're given. And we were talking about that a few minutes ago. And I'm going to err on the side of caution and give you, more time. I don't want you to feel like you're getting scrunched. But I can't give you 8 hours to do it either. So Misty says she's taken 2 quizzes and found them pretty easy to do. That's good. Where will the practical exam be found on Blackboard? Well, it will be under the, probably put it in the course shell, because remember I'm trying to sync both labs together. Ordinarily, in the case of the Wednesday or the Monday group, I put that quiz in the Monday course shell because the Wednesday students don't need to take it. So it made sense to me to restrict that posting of those quizzes in the Monday course shell of the lab. But since we're both going to be together, the 2 labs, I will post all future practicals and exams in the course shell, and it'll be easy to see. It'll be at the bottom of the contents folder. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so you're going to the lecture course shell to find any future practicals or exams. We're going to put all of that stuff there. I think that just makes sense because we'll all be in the same boat, so to speak. I could put them in the lab shells too. It doesn't make any difference, I guess, but
I like the lab stuff in the lab folder and then the class stuff in the class.
mhm.
It just makes it easier.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
definitely easier to differentiate between the 2.
Say again.
I said it's definitely makes it easier to differentiate between the 2.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. If you prefer me to put the practicals in the lab and the lecture exams in the lecture, I mean, that's fine. It's not a big deal posting them. So if you find that would be easier, then that's what I'll do. That's not a problem. I just need to make sure I make a note of that.